Today we're driving the 2025 Infiniti QX80 Autograph. This is a $110,000 behemoth. It has a 3.5 liter twin turbo V6 that makes 450 horsepower, 516 pound-feet of torque. It'll tow 8,500 pounds, and it costs 115 grand as tested with a couple options. Is this thing worth it over the Nissan Armada Pro 4X that we tested a couple months ago that we really enjoyed? I don't know. On first impressions, I spent a little bit of time in this car. I actually had one a few months ago, but then I got so sick I couldn't review it. Caught a bad cold. So we'll revisit this QX80, talk about it, walk you guys around it, and give you guys some driving impressions. On first impressions, I am not loving the screen layout. Everything isn't organized super well. It's kind of hard to access things. There aren't really any physical buttons and controls. The steering wheel buttons feel pretty cheap, if I'm being honest. All the plastic haptic buttons do. We have a digital rear view mirror that is the most complicated rear view mirror that I think I've ever used as far as controls go. You have to hit OK, and then you can select what you want. There we go. It's just kind of a UI disaster, but you get a pretty good view out of the back if you don't use it. We've got a main screen here, a lower screen here that shows us our climate control, some drive modes, rear climate control, front climate control. We do have quick access buttons for our cameras, which is nice. And we get this new infotainment system, as well as a fully digital gauge cluster. You can change that view to a couple different things. Elegant, enhanced. You can use these buttons to control the side screen as well by selecting this, and then this is your main infotainment screen. Honestly, a lot of the stuff isn't very important because once you set it, you can forget it. Let's walk you around the outside of this and show you what it looks like. Oh, there's also a Klipsch sound system. Similar shape to what we've always had from the QX80, that big bulging hood, different front grille, of course. No more V8, unfortunately. That engine will be missed. It has a ton of character, but this makes a lot of power. 22-inch wheels on this. Bridgestone Alenza Sport AS tires and 275/50 R22s. Pop the tailgate right there. And we kind of get a similar cargo situation as we do in the back of those Toyota Sequoia or something like that, or maybe even the LX. That's interesting. You can fold down that third row. Let's go back there, see what that feels like. This has really nice interior materials, finishing. I mean, it looks probably about like a $100,000 car. You can fold the seat forward electronically just by pressing this button right here. And in the back seat, it's pretty comfy in this third row. I have about an inch above my head. I'm 5'10". We got heated seats back here. Fold forward this second row seat with a couple buttons right there. And it's reasonably easy to get out of too. There we go. Rear climate control. A rear display where you can control climate, ventilated seats, and seat adjustment. It's an attractively designed interior. I just don't love all the screens. I don't think the graphics are designed very well, and the UI is just kind of all over the place. The climate controls are simple enough, and I guess everything else you would just kind of use and get used to and connect CarPlay or Android Auto to. There's a twin-turbo V6. Again, 450 horsepower, 516 pound-feet of torque. It's rated for 16 in the city, 19 on the highway, which is slightly better than the outgoing V8. let's take this for a drive. Press our drive button, and we'll set off. Not going to be messing too much with drive modes today. This does have air suspension, and we can control our height control right down here. There's an access height mode and then an off-road height that raises this up a few inches. Suspension is on the firm side. It just seems a little bit too stiff for what this thing is and what it should be. And I noticed that on my initial drive of this Infiniti QX80. I felt like your passengers would just get bounced around way too much to be comfortable. It is nice to have Google Maps as your native navigation system. Interior is quiet. Leather on the steering wheel feels nice. This thing is massive. In the cold though, this metal bit gets really cold. You have to kind of just wrap your hands around the heated elements, which is the leather part of the wheel. This 9-speed auto is smooth. 3.5 liter twin turbo V6 has a lot of power. Let's show you guys that right now. Steering weights up beautifully, and it handles well, but it's just too stiff for a luxury SUV. And we're just in standard drive mode here. There's a sport mode. That stiffens things up even more. Show you what this V6 sounds like in sport mode here. You do get paddle shifters behind the wheel. It's doing its best impression of a Z. We'll go back maybe into eco mode. Turn signal does not stay in place. It's kind of like the old BMW style turn signals. We've got a pretty bumpy road here. We'll give you guys an idea on ride quality firsthand. I think this is just damped a little bit too firmly for what it should be. This thing should just float over everything, and it doesn't. It rocks you around a bit, and on bigger bumps it really kind of gives you a jolt. Not what I was expecting from a $115,000 flagship luxury car from Infiniti. I like the steering. There's actually quite a bit of feel here. You can kind of almost feel the engine vibrating through it too, which I kind of like sometimes. There's a good amount of off-road capability here too, though probably not as capable as the Armada Pro 4X. Honestly, if it were my money, I'd just go out and get an Armada. Let's see what type of power it makes up this hill. It's quick, there's no doubt about that. I like how there's still that same classic bubble hood shape with the two fenders on the sides. You still feel like you're in a QX80, that's for sure. Back into sport mode, let's see how this handles. For being a big 3-row SUV, it handles, stops, and goes. I don't think it's as athletic as the Expedition that we drove recently at the Ford event, but it's not bad. All right, heading back into the track here, let's show you guys entry-exit mode and high mode. So here's high mode. Air suspension is raising up. It's pretty good. Get a little bit more ground clearance in high mode. Nothing revolutionary though. Let's see what access height is like. Oh yeah, that's more like it. All right guys, well that's gonna be a wrap on the Infiniti QX80. Kind of a mixed bag here. Honestly, a bit of a disappointment for a refresh on this. I was hoping it would be more comfortable, a little bit better ride quality. The infotainment, the digital tech stuff feels just a little bit behind for 2025. It's just not integrated very well in my opinion. It's really hard to access some things like screen brightness at night. Just the UI needs some improvement here, I think. If they can't do it well, just stick with physical buttons and controls and just make them nice. If you want to put some big screens in your luxury vehicle and include a lot of tech, great, but make it easy to use and operate and make it pretty, especially for $115,000. Anyway, those are my thoughts on the Infiniti QX80. The rest of this is pretty nice, but there are definitely some things here that I don't really like that much. I think I would just recommend a Nissan Armada Pro 4X. I absolutely loved my week in that. It was a fantastic vehicle, and it's very off-road capable too, if that's important. But it's just as comfortable, tows just as much, and really it's kind of the same thing without all the extra leather and extra price tacked onto it. All right guys, that's gonna be a wrap for this one. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next video. We'll drive this back to where it belongs, back here at the Mama Spring Rally. And I think that's pretty much gonna be a wrap on this day.